It is Wednesday, January the 24th, 2024, and I wanted to do a positive video about this dog that my family this week has decided to try to adopt. And I'm starting here because she has created a little sleeping nest for herself. And I guess she can sleep out here today because it is a lot warmer today. It must be in the 60s today than it has been in quite a few weeks. But so we started putting food out to see whether or not she was going to continue to linger, and she's been lingering around here for at least a week, maybe a little bit longer than that, and clearly she is making herself a home here. And so I think we are in mutual agreement about this effort that we have together. The other thing is that this is also where I placed this food here is the spot where we buried Kobe, which, you know, that was just, you know, my canine companion and buddy and, you know, just support system for many years of this difficult period that we've been experiencing here. But I also wanted to share it because people don't consider, you know, animals in their natural habitat, which is, I mean, they don't live in houses in nature, but, you know, we have domesticated animals to the point where, you know, pet making is, you know, a usual occurrence for a lot of people, and it's an entire industry, both medical and food, just like it is for human beings. But I'm going to end this video with some footage that we were able to take of her in the yard, because she still doesn't feel safe enough with human beings to allow us to even approach her. As soon as she hears someone even come out of the house, she'll run. And so we have hope that even if she doesn't become a domesticated dog who stays inside, that she would make her home here. And it's up to her, you know, we're not going to leash her or anything like that. And we've become attached to her, so we've actually named her Chille, because she reminds me of the dog Petey from Little Rascals, who I absolutely adore, and had even thought as I was watching Little Rascals that I might want to adopt a pit bull at some point, because they have such a negative reputation in the community because of how badly they are abused and how they are conditioned. And so people have this fear of pit bulls when it's not them, it's the people who owned and trained them to be the way that they are. But we aren't going to call animal control, just like all the other animals who have made our garden, our jungle at this point, their home. If she chooses to adopt us, then we are willing to adopt her and to provide whatever care she needs, starting with a dewormer, because I think that will help with her appetite. But, you know, the first step is just her being comfortable enough for us to be able to approach her. And I will also say that she, you know, despite what she's been through, she hunts, and she actually was carrying around a raccoon that she had hunted for food for a couple of days until I guess she was able to consume the whole thing. And so that's why I started putting food out. But she does hunt for her own food, and it says something that she's so hungry that even if she's able to scavenge through trash, that, you know, she still felt the need to have to hunt for food to, you know, just try to manage the level of hunger that she experiences. So we know if we call animal control, what will happen to her. And, you know, if we can get her to cohabitate with us, then that's our choice.
Oh, she's so pretty.
Maybe you can get a better picture than I can.
I am Dave Pauly, and I have been seeking a humane economy. So what exactly is a humane economy? If you follow the economy at all, you've probably heard terms like a bull market or a bear market. Well, today I'm talking about a little different type of a bear market. It's one where the bear sees human habitats as its grocery market. And historically, when bears like this came into our farmsteads, our outbuildings to do their shopping, there were really only two solutions. They could either shoot and kill the bear, or they could catch it in a culprit trap and take it out and release it elsewhere. The problem with the latter is that that really is only transferring a problem bear to another area. So it's an expensive procedure, and it really isn't in the best interest of the humans, where the bear is being released, or in the best interest of the bear. So the humane economy model for bear control still involves catching a problem bear at the site where the problem is, and then releasing the bear at that capture site, but not before exposing it to negative stimuli, in this case the Karelian bear dogs. And this particular bear required also some rubber bullets and some additional noise to get him to leave. But what we're doing is teaching this bear, we're reinforcing for this bear to not come down to human habitation, but we're not taking him out of his ecosystem, so he can still go up in the hills and live. We're also teaching an adult bear that he wants to avoid humans, but hopefully all the female bears are also going to teach their future cubs to avoid the lights and the grain bins and the chicken coops of human beings. So it really is an encompassing of the humane economy model that says that sometimes doing the right thing can also be the most profitable thing. And
All too often, the media confronts you with scenes of children dying senselessly from malnutrition, from simple childhood diseases, from neglect born of poverty. 35,000 die every day. You're told it overwhelms you, but it's not quite real. Now picture yourself coming home one night to find a child like Senente Legiroto on your doorstep. One of those hungry, nameless children you never expected to meet. What do? You feed her. Give her clean clothes. You put your arms around her and hold her tight. If every person like you sponsored one child like Senente, then Christian Children's Fund could accomplish its task, eliminating hunger and disease from the reasons innocent children die. That is a doable task. There are more of you who can help than there are children who so desperately need it. There's a number on your screen. Please call it. Christian Children's Fund is the world's oldest and most respected child sponsorship organization. And we see every day the joy that sponsorship can bring.
Someday, when I get a big promotion, I'm going to use some of my money to do some good in this world. Someday, when the kids are...
Someday. It's a wonderful thought. But for children born into poverty, few of us can ever imagine someday won't be soon enough. Without your help now, their lives will be shattered by hunger and disease before someday ever comes. Many will never have a chance to go to school, and some simply will not survive even until tomorrow. Fortunately, there are many people in this world who didn't wait to help. Instead, they called the number on the screen to sponsor a child through Christian Children's Fund. Please write the number down while I introduce you to Chille. Did I say it right? Chille?
Yes.
For several years now, Chille has received help from a Christian Children's Fund sponsor, Mrs. Peggy Andraka, who works in a retail store. Now, though he knows her only from letters and a photograph, she is one of the most important people in his life.
Life is extremely difficult in the dry bush country where Chille lives. The family has a hut, some goats, but very little else. Yet thanks to the $25 a month his sponsor sends to CCF, Chille is able to attend school near his home. He also receives basic medical care and nutritious meals.
Against all odds, Chille is first in his class. His sponsor must be very proud. This young man's sponsor is not a wealthy person. She simply saw a need and responded. Won't you do the same?
I'll talk about that a little bit more. But I'm using a wildlife model to explain the humane economy. But this concept also applies to domestic animals, to farm animals, even to soil-based agriculture. And the real take-home point is that you can be humane and be more profitable. But about 14 years later, I started a business in Madison, Wisconsin called Humane Animal Controls. And I dealt with all types of urban wildlife conflicts. And at the same time, I was going to school full-time to become an agricultural economist. And it was this joint thing of spending half the day dealing with people's wildlife problems and half the day learning the theory of economy that really cemented my foundation for this humane economy movement. So I'm going to talk a little bit, use 3 other species as examples to reinforce the humane economy, but I would be remiss if I didn't give a little bit of history and also to disclose that this is not my concept. I did not invent the humane economy, but I have worked the last few decades to try to improve it. In fact, my humane economy journey started 50 years and almost a month ago when my dad wrapped my first humane live trap and put it under the Christmas tree. I took that trap and immediately started to catch animals, and soon I was known as the kid who would come on his bicycle and catch any mink, skunk, raccoon that was bothering any other pigeon fanciers, because I raise show pigeons. So poultry producers, anybody who had a wildlife conflict could call me and I'd go catch that animal. And I got very good at it. And then one day, I said to my dad, I've been seeing this orange tomcat hanging around our pigeon loft for about a week, and I'm going to trap it. And my dad gave me my first humane economy lesson. He said, well, is that cat stalking the pigeons? Is he expressing interest in the pigeons? And I said, no, he's just hanging around the loft. And my dad said, well, sometimes it's better to live with a cat that we know than to remove that cat and maybe get another cat in who is definitely going to kill your pigeons. It took me a couple years to absorb that concept, but he really was talking about tolerance and coexistence and thinking about those concepts as we go with wildlife. And, you know, generally, when a person has a raccoon in their chimney or bats in their attic or squirrels in the house, they really only want one thing. They want them gone. They want the animals gone. And that has created a whole industry of sometimes inhumane and sometimes inefficient models that are Band-Aids. They don't solve the problem. They remove the animal, which the person is happy with, but they don't solve the underlying problem of why is that animal there in the first place. They don't solve the problem. They remove the animal, which the person is happy with, but they don't solve the underlying problem of why is that animal there in the first place. They also are inefficient because we're spending all the time and all the energy to remove the animal and not solve the problem. We're spending all the time and all the energy to remove the animal and not solve the problem. We're spending all the time and all the energy to remove the animal and not solve the problem. And Mother Nature will provide, she'll replace the squirrel or the beaver or the raccoon that we take out. So it becomes unsustainable because eventually the cost of all that removal is going to exceed the value of the property that we're trying to protect. So we